In April 2025, the President of the United States walked into the Rose Garden, held up a giant cardboard chart, and announced what he called Liberation Day. He told America he was about to make us rich. Within 48 hours, the stock market lost more than $6 trillion. By the end of the same week, the average American household was poorer by roughly $3,800 a year. So what actually happened? Who paid for it? And why is every economics textbook printed in the last 100 years screaming the same word at us right now? That word is tariff. Welcome back to Berloga. Today we are dissecting the economics of trade wars. Forget the speeches, forget the flag pins. A tariff is a tax. That is it, a tax. The only debate is who actually pays it, so I will give you the punchline now so you can fact check me later. Tariffs are not paid by China. They are not paid by Mexico. They are not paid by the European Union. Tariffs are paid by the importer who lives in your zip code, and then he hands the bill to you. Meet Tony Castellano. Tony is a small importer in Long Beach. He brings in a 40-foot container of plush teddy bears from a factory in Shenzhen. A box of plush bears costs Tony $10 to land on American soil. He sells the box to Walmart for $20. Tuesday morning, the president signs an executive order, 145% tariff on Chinese imports. Tony does not call China. Tony does not get a discount from the factory. Tony writes a check to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, $14.50 per box. To stay in business, he raises his price. Walmart raises theirs. By Thursday morning, the same plush bear that cost your kid $20 last week now costs $42. The tariff did not punish China. The tariff punished Tony, Walmart, and your wallet. But the president says tariffs will fix the trade deficit. Stick around for that one. First, let us define it. America buys about $800 billion more in goods from the rest of the world than it sells. People hear the word deficit and think loss. It is not. When you walk into Starbucks and trade $5 for a coffee, you have a trade deficit with Starbucks. They have your money, you have a coffee. Both of you walk away happy. That is exactly how international trade works. The dollars that leave America for Vietnam come back as Vietnamese demand for Boeing planes, Hollywood movies, Tesla cars, and US Treasury bonds. The trade deficit is not a hole in your pocket. It is a measurement of how much the rest of the world wants to hold your currency. Closing it by force does not make Americans rich. It just makes them drink worse coffee at home for twice the price. Meet Sarah Whitman. Sarah works 2 jobs. Sarah has 2 kids. Sarah's grocery bill is up $400 a month since April. Coffee, Brazil. Bananas, Ecuador. Avocados, Mexico. Rice, Vietnam. Olive oil, Italy. Sneakers for her son, Vietnam. The cell phone she pays off in 24 monthly installments, China. The replacement compressor in her 10-year-old refrigerator, Mexico. The Yale Budget Lab calculated that the average American family is paying an extra $3,800 per year because of the 2025 tariffs. The bottom 20% of households are paying a higher share of their income than the top 20%. That is the technical definition of a regressive tax. Stick around to the end. I will show you the exact bill that turned a stock market crash into the Great Depression. Same logic, same speeches, different decade. But first, I need you to meet the farmer who voted for the tariffs and then watch China cancel his entire harvest in a single afternoon. Meet Hank Bauer. Hank grows soybeans on 600 acres in northern Iowa. Hank voted for tariffs. Hank loved the speech about bringing manufacturing home. Hank wore the hat. Then on April 4th, China announced a 125% retaliatory tariff on American agricultural exports. Hank's #1 customer disappeared overnight. Brazilian farmers, who do not need a tariff to sell soybeans, picked up the phone before Hank's coffee got cold. Hank's beans now sit in silos at 60% of last year's price. The US Treasury then sent Hank a check, a subsidy, funded by the same tariffs that broke his market in the first place. Let me say that one more time, slowly. Hank is being paid taxpayer money to compensate him for losing the customers his own government chased away. There is a word for this. It is called central planning. But will tariffs at least bring back American manufacturing? That is the whole pitch, right? The Federal Reserve Bank of New York studied the first round of Trump tariffs back in 2019. Net effect on US manufacturing employment, minus 75,000 jobs. The steel tariffs created roughly 1,000 new steel jobs. They destroyed 75,000 jobs in industries that use steel. Cars, washing machines, beer cans, tractors. The math works out to about $900,000 in higher consumer prices for every single new steel job created. You could just hand each new steel worker $900,000 in cash, send them home for the year, and still come out ahead. Manufacturing did not come back. Manufacturing fled to Vietnam, India, Canada, Mexico, anywhere the tariff did not reach. 200 years ago, an English economist named David Ricardo wrote down a tiny piece of math that every introductory economics textbook still puts on page 1. If country A is great at making airplanes, and country B is great at making t-shirts, both countries get richer when each one does what it is good at, and they trade. Even if country A is better at literally everything, both countries still gain by specializing. It is not a political opinion, it is an arithmetic identity. Tariffs are the policy equivalent of telling a brain surgeon to also dig his own ditches. June 1930. Two senators named Smoot and Hawley signed America up for the largest tariff hike in modern history. 20,000 goods, average rate of about 20%. President Hoover signed the bill on his desk in the Oval Office. Within 12 months, 25 other countries retaliated. World trade collapsed by 66%. Unemployment in America rose from 3% to 25%. The textbook name for what followed is the Great Depression. 1,028 American economists from every major university signed a public petition begging the president not to sign the bill. He signed it anyway. History does not repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme. So who actually benefits from tariffs? Politicians who need a foreign villain, lobbyists for the tiny handful of protected industries, and a quiet little group of well-connected donors who get exemptions handed to them at midnight, in writing on official letterhead. Everybody else, the worker, the farmer, the parent at the checkout, the retiree on a fixed income, pays the bill. Tariffs are not patriotism. Tariffs are a tax on people who fly economy, paid to people who fly private. In every economic crisis, there is the same temptation. Find the foreigner, build a wall, sign a tariff, tell the public the wall will protect them, watch the price tag arrive in the mail. The first rule of capitalism is very simple. The cost of a tariff is never paid by the country it is aimed at. The cost is always paid by the family standing in the supermarket aisle, holding a bag of avocados, doing the math. This was Berloga. Take off the rose-colored glasses. Subscribe. I am going back into hibernation.